Oh my God, what did we just witness? A coach is being carried onto the field and the empty stands are erupting with what little crowd noise they can conjure up. The sacrificial lamb has just slain the Nittany Lion. But it means so much more than that, and I truly believe that we just witnessed the new biggest upset of our lifetime. But to truly understand what just happened, we have to go back. But if you're like me, you probably like to go back and relive some of the good old days. Like when you were just out there cracking open packs, never knowing what you could get. The excitement was just tantalizing. And if you want to relive that nostalgia a bit, then I am happy to introduce you to today's sponsor, Arena Club. Arena Club not only takes the cycle of opening packs and flips it on its head by taking a process of cracking, grading, and reselling cards, which used to take weeks, but it shortens it down into a couple of seconds. And they do it in a new, fun way with slab packs. Slab packs let you rip open a wide range of packs starting at $25 and up, and every pack has grails that are worth at least 20 times the price of the pack. And once you get that lucky pull, you can either have it sent to you, or if it's not for your personal collection, resell it immediately without the hassle, thanks to Arena Club making you an offer based on the market value of the card. And I have had so much fun ripping these packs. I think you're going to as well. That's why I hooked you up. If you go to arenaclub.com/punts and use code PUNTS, you can get 20% off. Now, for those of you who don't buy a lot of cards, you don't know that 20% off is unheard of in the card purchasing era. So go to arenaclub.com/punts, code PUNTS, thank me later, and have a little fun reliving that nostalgia. And to understand this true scale of this game, we have to first look at Penn State. You see, I always like to say that Penn State is truly the gatekeeper to the top 10 in college football, especially under head coach James Franklin. I mean, let's face it, they're never ever a bad team. In fact, you could even go as far as to call them a dominant team who just has one tiny whiny incy wincy little crux, and that's they cannot under any circumstances beat a top 10 team. I mean, if you think you're a top 10 team and Penn State is on your schedule, that will be the game that determines if you are or not. Take, for instance, 2017 Michigan. They start the year off strong, get to the 19th ranked team in the country, but run into Penn State, who in brutal fashion kicked them back out of the 25. In 2018, a hot Iowa team was trying to find their signature win, but instead found the start of a 3-game slide that would knock them out of the top 25. And in 2019, Iowa and Michigan would once again try to jump into that upper echelon, but took painful losses to the Nittany Lions, who kept them out. And we could keep going, but you get the point. That's just their thing. They could beat really good football teams who are going to end the season bowling or being ranked, as long as that team was outside the top 10. But what this James Franklin team is probably most known for is just how brutally they get beat by teams who are going to end up inside the top 10. I mean, they literally just cannot beat them. Outside of their first year in 2016, where they took down a number 2 Ohio State, his matchup against top 10 teams has gone like this. 2017 loses a heartbreaker to the Buckeyes, 39-38. 2018 loses a heartbreaker once again to Ohio State, 27-26, and then later that year would get absolutely shit stomped by Michigan, 42-7. 2019 they play against Minnesota, who would turn out to be a top 10 team later in the year, but would once again run into Ohio State, and this time take a 2-score loss right on the chin. 2020, weird down year thanks to COVID, so we're going to ignore that. As 2021, they would have one of their toughest schedules where they would literally be the doormat to the top 10, as they would lose to number 3 Iowa, number 5 Ohio State, number 6 Michigan. Heck, the cherry on top is at the end of the season they would lose to Michigan State, which would literally let them slip into the top 10, further showing how they were literally the gatekeeper of number 10. But it was never more obvious than in 2022, when they dominated every team they played against who wasn't in the top 10, but when facing down number 2 Ohio State and number 5 Michigan, would look completely anemic and not even pose a threat despite being ranked themselves at 10 and 13 when playing them. And of course, 23, 24, it's all the same thing, losing to their only opponents in the top 10 while looking dominant against everybody else, as Penn State fans were beginning to get sick of going 10-2 with no notable wins, like literally 0 wins against top 10 opponents in Franklin's entire tenure outside of 2016. But the one thing you could at least count on is that Penn State was not going to lose to bad teams. As frustrating as it was to be in the spot they were in, the guys who shouldn't beat the Nittany Lions pretty much never did. In fact, the only games that almost qualify were a couple of losses to Michigan State, who in 2017 ended pretty highly ranked, and in 2018 had one of the most brutal schedules and was competitive against all the highly ranked teams despite being unranked themselves. And their one strange one was their 9 overtime loss to Illinois in Brett Bielema's first year. But even then, that was a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team, and Penn State wasn't at their strongest, and Illinois was kind of sandwiched between two top 10 teams just begging to be a trap game. But the real bottom feeders, the 2-10 teams, the Rutgers, the Northwesterns, never stood a chance. And this year, hey, it looked like it was going to be more of the same. Nevada, FIU, Villanova all faced the same fate, which was a brutal ass whooping by the Nittany Lions, as they were ranked all the way up at number 2 before they would run headfirst into a top 10 Oregon team where, was there any question what was about to happen? Penn State would take them to overtime and lose in a heartbreaking fashion, all according to plan. But next on their schedule was the team that they just never lose to, an 0-4, struggling, bottom of the Big Ten UCLA team. And it's not like UCLA was bad out of nowhere. After Chip Kelly left in 2023, he handed the reins to Deshaun Foster, who, to be frank, just didn't do much with it. His first year, he would go 5-7 off coattails of Kelly's success, where even in that year, they would get dominated by Penn State, 27-11. But this year would start off worse than anybody could possibly have imagined, as they got gobsmacked by Utah, dropped another game to UNLV in embarrassing fashion before they came out against New Mexico and got embarrassed again, leading to Foster being let go. And if you thought things would turn around for them, they almost did when they played against Northwestern, who was by no means a Big Ten powerhouse, where they would keep it a little closer, but drop that one in a 14-17 loss, as they now started off 0-4, with the extra embarrassing factor being that they had the biggest offseason acquisition of college football when they landed Tennessee's former quarterback, who they thought would help them be exactly not in the situation that they're in right now. And the team was spiraling. They had already fired their head coach, and what could they do but start dropping coordinators as they let their defensive coordinator go, and after their loss to Northwestern, let their offensive coordinator go as they promoted Jerry Neuheisel to call shots this game. So with none of the coordinators they started their season with, no wins at all to show, and absolute rock bottom, they came out against the Nittany Lions and absolutely punched them in the mouth. Their first drive of the game was an 11-play marathon as they were able to get into the box and miraculously take the lead. But not just that, they were playing with all their cards on the table. Seeing the Lions' tendency to leave early on kickoff, they go for the surprise onside to get the ball back, which they were able to convert into a field goal to be up 10-0. And while many, like myself, sat there and thought, well, that was cute, but the Lions are about to turn it around, that Penn State team seemed unfazed as they immediately marched down the field with ease, only having a single third down that entire drive to score. But UCLA did not roll over. In maybe their most pivotal drive of the game, they go 17 plays, 75 yards, converted 4 third down conversions with just guts and glory to score and show that they could keep doing this even after they got out of their opening script, as the score now sat at 17-7, and their defense was fired up. That marathon of a drive lasted 8 minutes to give them a breath to come out and swarm the Lions offense, who was looking to strike back quick, but instead put their own defense back onto the field in less than 60 seconds, which the Bruins would capitalize on as they immediately take a shot pass to set up a touchdown a few seconds later, to the dismay of all. Penn State now sat at 24-7. The crowd, while at 50% capacity, was going as wild as they could, and Penn State would have to try to fight back, right? Before the half, they start moving the ball. They get to the opposite side of the 50 where the Bruins defense held strong, and they get to a pivotal 4th and 2 where the Nittany Lions, in what can only be described as a show of arrogance, try to pass right here, but think that their running back can defend against a free pass rusher, as Aller was immediately sacked. And now with 26 seconds left, the Bruins were taking no prisoners. They march across the 50, get into the field goal range, as even their kicker was playing lights out, as he pipes a 54-yarder to give UCLA the miraculous 20-point lead. But after half, things looked like they were going to change. Yes, Penn State gives up a costly fumble to open it up, but their defense makes the adjustment and the Bruins couldn't get an inch. And the pressure of the situation being so dire led to the field goal being missed. And not just missed, but that momentum took the Lions offense into a different gear. 5 plays in less than 2 minutes is all it took to bring that score 14-17. And then when they immediately stop UCLA, again, the unthinkable happens. They block a punt for a touchdown, immediately jumping within a single score as we all thought, okay, it's happening. They're going to win this game. But this Bruins team was refusing to lie down. They get back on their horse and march down against the top 10 defense in the country as they get in the boxes. These teams were now just going at a Big 12 style haymaker game. The Lions drive to get back within 6, but the Bruins go on another marathon drive to pull away up to 42 points. That's 1 point away from tying their first 3 games combined point total. But Penn State was once again not flinching. They marched right back down to score to stay within striking distance, and that's when UCLA looked to try to end the game. With 2 minutes left from their own 34-yard line on 4th and 1, they put it all on the line, but come up short. Penn State now just 32 yards away from winning this game as slowly but surely they move into the red zone. And then inside the 10 as it was 4th and 2. But Penn State, with all the talent in the world, once again gets in their own way and gets stuffed. But with 20 seconds left and all 3 timeouts, the game was far from over. The Bruins are forced to punt, with their last punt getting blocked for a touchdown, and they're sniffing the back of their end zone. But once again, Penn State, in a show of cockiness or just ignorance, forgets that UCLA can try to drain clock here. They don't rush the kick. Their punter runs around, wasting 9 valuable seconds. That's 2 plays that Penn State direly needed that he just saved them from before stepping out of bounds for the safety, where now they only get to run 3 plays. In the last play, they try to annex Puerto Rico, but instead find themselves in the new biggest upset of all time.
They carry Jerry Neuheisel off the field.